Hey, what is happening? 3 minutes early on a Saturday. What? It's an upside down week. What is going on here? Hey, what is going on here? Was that Mr. Belding? Nostalgia. It's a nostalgia morning. So during the week, I say, 7 a.m. Central. We're on the dot, 7 a.m. Central, and I show up 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late. Yesterday, it was an hour and a half late. And then today, it's like, it's my typical weekend schedule. I'll go on between 8 and 9 a.m. And here I am at 6:57, 3 minutes early. Normally, I would have waited until 7, but since it is a Saturday, and I usually say, it's whenever, I'm just going to hit record if anybody's in here. If nobody's in here, I'm just talking to the wall. That's okay. So good morning. Happy Saturday. I starting Friday morning, I didn't really think I was going to have anything to talk about this morning. It's like maybe I should just not do a show at all Saturday and Sunday because I won't have anything to talk about as I'm getting prepared to head down into Illinois for a card show and a Club 400 event tonight. But yesterday afternoon, friend of mine has been kind of bugging me at like the holidays. Hey, I've got a bunch of cards. Can you look at them? And it's like, I put it off because I know what they are. I knew exactly what they were going to be because we're the same age and it's going to be the same stuff. And it's going to be I'm going to say the J word, Zach, the junk wax era. And sure enough, it was. He did have some decent stuff mixed in, and he's like, man, I haven't looked at these in like 30 years. And I'm like, yeah. There's some good stuff, and there's and you can tell it hadn't been touched in 30 years because there's a Michael Jordan top loaded right next to Eric Anthony rookie card top loaded. So you can always tell when cards haven't been looked through. It's like, oh hey, 91 Fleer Common gets penny sleeved along with the superstars. So he had a bunch of Jordans. Nothing crazy. Had the 91 Upper Deck Baseball Jordan, the Stadium Club, the Bo Jackson shoulder pads, 89 Upper Deck sealed set. And then some random like junk packs like 91 Donruss. And, I said, to be honest with you, it's not worth what you think it is. You have to let them down. And it's like, he's like, oh, how much do you think this Karl Malone's worth? And I'm like, 25 cents. If you're lucky, if you find a buyer, you might get 25 cents. What's up? There's Zach. I'm talking about my buddy's card collection I went through yesterday afternoon. So we're going through some stuff, and I'm just like, to be honest with you, and I actually looked up, I'm like, you can look up comps on eBay. Make sure you look at the sold because some people put 90 Fleer Jose Uribes up for $25,000, and they're not worth that. So I said, to be honest, I don't know what you're looking to do. If you just kind of want to see how much they're worth, or if you're actually in the if you want to move them and sell them. Unfortunately, like if you sell it like in a bulk deal, like this is my collection, you're probably going to get $100 best. Even with the 89 Upper Deck, it's 150 to $200. You can sell it on eBay, and you'll probably get more selling it on eBay after fees and shipping than what somebody locally will offer you on Craigslist or Facebook. Some of the Jordans, it's going to be more difficult because you'd have to sell them individually, and that's where, it can get time consuming. And if you're not, if you need the cash, want the cash, don't want the cards, be prepared to make 50 to $100 on everything. My advice would be, he doesn't need the money. So just keep them. Like if you have a kid he has a daughter, if she wants to get into cards, his brother has a son. If he wants to get into cards, that's probably the best. Otherwise, a lot of this stuff, just take it to Goodwill. George, what's up? How the hell are you on time on a Saturday, right? I hit live 3 minutes early on a Saturday, probably because I'm excited to get out of town, go to a card show, Club 400 party tonight. I've got a ton of shipping because I ended up. What I'm going to talk about is my night of fun. My actually my I feel like I'm 80. I was home by 6:30 last night. So my night of fun ended at 6:30. Um, my early evening of fun, my afternoon of fun. Um, so yeah, up and at 'em early. I've actually become a decent source on best wax pricing. Yeah, and it's hard to say, this has good value, because the big question is, well, how do you know? It's it's like it's so hard because everything is different. And generally it's like, well, basically anything in this era is not worth much because it was overproduced. And that's kind of, and so he knows more on the toy stuff from the 80s and 90s. So he gets that, um because some of that stuff, is worth not as much as what you would think just because it was mass produced. So that leads us into our afternoon of fun. So he's like, pull any of the, if you find any Marvel cards or any of that, because it was all kind of mixed in, a little bit of everything. He's like, pull that because I'll give it to my boss. And I'm like, your boss? Well, who's your boss? Does your boss collect? And he's like, oh, I work a day a week at Meepleton's, which is an awesome name. So it's Meepleton's World of Fun. It's a toy store, but it's like a vintage toy store. It's super cool. I first learned about it. He opened up right at the beginning of the pandemic. And there was it was in the local newspaper. It popped up on my Facebook feed, and I'm like, this looks freaking super cool because it's like all 80s and 90s stuff, and then there's some 70s stuff mixed in, but it's mostly 80s and 90s stuff, like my childhood. So he's like, yeah, I work a day a week at Meepleton's, and I'm like, and then he's like, yeah, he sells some of these cards. Like he doesn't do baseball cards or sports cards, but he has other cards, and I'm like, that's actually what I want. Like, I don't want 91 Donruss, but I want 91 Tops Back to the Future 2 or Gremlins. Or I'm like, does he have any Howard the Duck cards? So he's like, oh, I don't think so, but he's got a bunch of wax packs on the counter. And I'm like, I need to go. He's like, well, do you want to go now? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. George ran the 3-hour random train wreck of a stream. That's all I've done on Saturday. I saw that pop up. I was upstairs with my wife. We were watching. First, we started watching a terrible Netflix movie called Brazen, starring Alyssa Milano. And like, my wife was working, so she just had her laptop, so she wasn't really paying attention. And I was listing some cards on eBay, so I wasn't really paying attention, but I kind of wanted to watch something where I could like half pay attention. So we start watching this movie Brazen on Netflix. And like 20 minutes in, my wife's like, because I saw it pop up and I'm like, oh, it's an interesting like plot. My wife's like, what are we watching? And it gets in and I'm like, this is like a really bad Lifetime movie. So I actually like cut it off like halfway through, like, okay, this is terrible. And we ended up watching, so that was a bigger train wreck than, I haven't watched your stream, but I can tell you that movie was a bigger train wreck. What did we watch after that? Oh, The Sopranos, which is, just kind of like background. And my wife's like, are you even watching? And I'm like, no, not really. And she's like, oh, I'm going to put on Sex in the City. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm like, I'm at least like somewhat paying attention. Like, let's save that for when I'm like downstairs shipping. So she's like, so she looks at the clock and it's 8:30 and she's like, you're going to be in bed in an hour. So, and sure enough, 9:30, I'm going up to bed. And she watched Sex in the City. Zach says that's why comps are so important. It actually helps the perception of my era. There is a value to it. It isn't junk. It's not. And I'm surprised by what some of the stuff does sell for. But for a lot of people, like if they're looking to sell, they don't want, like for me, like I'll buy a collection, say that collection $100, and I can piece out and I can sell a Karl Malone for $1, $1.50, but I mean it takes a lot of work to get some of that. And so basically when I look at a collection like that, so that would be I didn't even offer it because I know, like, I hate dealing with friends like that, and it's like I just want to stay out of it. Like I don't want to do business with friends, and like that's just a stranger, sure, but it's like that's why I was like pushing him away from, okay, if you want to sell, list it here or here. Like I just don't want to get into that. But if he was a stranger and I saw it on Facebook Marketplace, $100, no matter what it was priced at, I would probably offer $100. Some people are going to be like, oh, there's what the 89 upper deck set alone sells for, they're going to find the highest comp, $200. And it's like, well, yeah, that $200, this one had like a tear on the plastic seal. It's like, that's best case scenario. It may take me a few months to actually sell it for, a price. There's fees, there's shipping. So, when it's said and done, I might only sell it for 120, and it's, less than 100 is my net. So there's all of that go into it. So that's my take. And my approach is, $100. I know I can move that one piece, whatever it is, I can move that for 100. Everything else is kind of like the profit. So that's how I kind of approach the collection part. Absolutely nothing was accomplished in about the first hour. Diego, what's up? DR, what's up? Good morning, all. Cleaning at work and saw the notification. I get to check out a huge collection today. I have $1,000 budgeted for acquisition. Soup, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear the results there. I hate telling friends you have to really hustle to sell the cards, but it may take a long while. Yeah, absolutely. And especially for people, like if somebody's never done eBay, it's a real pain in the ass. Like, I mean, like just the shipping like aspect, like some people have no idea like what goes into shipping anything really. If somebody has never done that, like I do it in my sleep and many of us do, but if you're not in that world, and it's not just kind of second nature, it's a real, like, I don't want to deal with that. But for me, it's like, people say, I can't believe you're selling $1.50 cards on eBay, but it's like, it's second nature to me. It's like tying my shoes. Whereas I kind of look at people that buy and flip, like my buddy that ran the card show bought like $1,800 in cards at the end of a card show and flipped them to the guy next to him for $3,000. Like, held the cards for 5 minutes and made over $1,000. And see, I don't have that. Like, I don't deal in high end, but I know the market on Zach's Best Wax era. And I know, like, okay, I can move this for a couple bucks. I can sell this for a couple bucks. It, like Diego says, it may take a while, but I can get it done. So patience and just kind of just doing it. So we go to Meepleton's World of Fun. It's a toy store. It's downtown, not downtown, just off downtown Madison on Williamson Street. If anybody's familiar with Madison, it's kind of, Willie Street is kind of like Hippieville. Like there's a lot of hippies down there, and it's got a lot of like, it's very like old. Like the buildings are old. It's got a lot of like shops. It's really cool. Just walk down and there's a lot of like just anything you can think of, really. It's like a hippie mall, like just a street mall. All these little shops, like toy store. There's no card shops down there, but toy stores, music stores, restaurant. There's an amazing pizza place called Salvatore's that's down there. The barcade, the arcade bar, just a lot of little tchotchke shops, just a lot of cool stuff on on Willie Street. So we go in. This is the first time I've been in there, and walk in, and it's just like, wow, like you're overtaken by 80s and 90s nostalgia everywhere. So we go in. My buddy introduced me to the owner, and like right there, right at the counter, there's all the junk wax packs, non-sports. And so there's Jaws, 3D, E.T., Alf, Cyndi Lauper. What else was on there? The WCW cards, the music cards. What else was there? Oh, and I didn't even bring them downstairs with me. They're still upstairs, but a lot, like just a whole bunch. And so, we're kind of talking. He's like, oh, but I do have some baseball cards. He's got unopened wax boxes. It was 93 Upper Deck, like 92 Donruss, 90 Fleer. And I'm like, well, what do you want for him? So he's looking at comps. And I'm like, I'm more interested in the non-sports stuff. So, so I picked up, I think, what did I get? 6 packs. It's on the thumbnail. Well, half of them are on the thumbnail. Home Alone 2, which that was kind of past. Home Alone 2 came out in what year? Like 1992. So that was after my like non-sports. I only collected non-sports cards for a very brief time, like 1990, 91 is when I collected non-sports, and pretty much just like 1990, like Dick Tracy, New Kids on the Block. I bought a pack of New Kids on the Block. Batman, like the Michael Keaton Batman movie. Yo MTV Raps. Some of those were what I collected, and then by 92 I was into basketball cards. Let's see. I'm going to go to the chat real quick. I tried and was not successful. Dropped the idea, but I was a noob. Selling on eBay years ago. You should have jumped on today, Diego. Selling not ready organization-wise. That's it. That's that. If you want to start selling on eBay, that's like number one. Like, and Diego, really all it takes. And when I was selling casually on eBay a few years ago, I just had like a 3-row box because I was only listing, a few cards at a time. I just had a 3-row box and I just wrote eBay on it. That was my eBay box. And it literally, like, I don't know, 100 cards, maybe less. And I just had my eBay box, and that was, and I put it on a shelf or wherever. And that was my eBay stuff. And then obviously when I scaled up, I had to get more organized and do the tabs by years or by sets or whatever. But yeah, organization is key before you start. 93 Upper Deck is a sweet set, great photography. Is there a trump card in the HA2 set? Oh, there might be. That would sell. Yeah, there might be. If you mean during your morning, I was trying to get my kids ready for bed. Yeah, I figured you were doing the family thing. eBay selling is a way of life. Best advice is to make sure you're ready to dedicate the time and energy. Absolutely. Because it can take a lot of time. Whether you're doing it casually or doing it all day. So picked up those packs of cards. They had a lot of, just a lot like Pee Wee Herman stuff. A lot of like, I call them dolls. So I'm not in the toy scene, okay? So we're driving down there, and so my buddy is talking about some like figurine, and I'm like, oh, is it a doll? And he just like, he's driving, and he just like gives me this icy look, like they're not dolls. How much I know. Okay, not a doll. An action figure. Not a doll, an action figure. So they had a bunch of like old WWF, like some of the bigger ones from like the mid-80s, like Corporal Kirchner. Like I just wanted to buy it. And it's like, I was very impulsive. I held off the impulses, but it's like Corporal Kirchner actually just passed away recently. And it's like, whoa, and it was like $10, but it's like, and then I thought about it, like, what the hell am I going to do with a Corporal Kirchner doll? Oh, sorry, action figure. Um, and then like the more I look, like, and I told the owner, I'm like, every time I look in a different direction, I see something new that like catches my eye. So then I was looking through another shelf, and I'd been there a half an hour, and I saw like a whole row of like early 90s action figures from WWF, like The Undertaker, Giant Gonzalez, so many cool stuff. Um, he had a stack of wrestling magazines from the 70s and early 80s. They were $10 a magazine. Now I'm like in my purge stage of my wrestling magazine collection. Like during COVID, selling on eBay was just kind of like side hustle, like just doing it to get rid of cards. I had nothing else to do. And I'm like, I need a hobby, another hobby. And I started recollecting wrestling magazines. And now it's like, okay, I flip through them. Cool. So if it would have been like this time last year, I probably would have like asked him how much for the whole stack. And at some point I may do that, like $10, maybe if I buy a bulk deal, he'll sell them to me for $5 a magazine, and I might be able to flip them. But now it's like my wrestling magazine sales like were really good during when I was buying them. And now they've just kind of like, I'll move one every once in a while. So I think that would be a poor investment. So so many cool things. Like, I mean, I anything you can think of from the 80s and 90s was in there. And the only thing I couldn't find was Howard the Duck. And I asked, I'm like, if you ever get Howard the Duck cards, let me know. And he's like, when I first opened, I had them, but somebody bought like the whole box. And I'm like, oh, bummer. So just a really cool place. So my buddy's going to, if they ever, whenever they get new cards coming in, non-sports cards, he's going to let me know. So just so much nostalgia. I loved it. Pee Wee Herman, and then they had like the boy band stuff, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, New Kids on the Block, G.I. Joe figures from the 80s, like some still in the box. What else was there? Just a lot of like just random, like there was a Murder She Wrote like game or something. It was like way up, so I couldn't really tell what it was. There was an Ultimate Warrior like suitcase, like not a suitcase, but one of those like chests, like treasure chest type deals with Ultimate Warrior. I'd never seen anything like. I don't know if it was homemade or what it was, but just amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Let's see. I would actually like to have some of those wax packs slabbed and displayed. Yeah, and that's I get into these, and I've talked about it here, where I get collectors ADD, where it's like, oh, I want to start collecting non-sports packs, and that's if I see them, it's like, oh, I'll buy that for $3, and then it's like, okay, wait, focus. But so it's like, well, you bought 6 packs yesterday. What are you doing? I'm not. These are for content, for my enjoyment and for content. So I'll be doing the nostalgia breaks. I'm not sure when. The very first, and I've talked about this. Where's it at? The very first, I'm going to debut with a sports pack, 1988 Topps Football, because that was the very first pack I opened. I'm actually going to be looking for some packs at the card show today. So I don't know when I'm going to fire up the first nostalgia break video. I wanted to actually start January 1st and like do a pack a day, but at that point, like I have like maybe a dozen packs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I have about a dozen packs, and like a lot, in like half of them are sports. So I want to get a better selection. And now here's another thing I was thinking of, and I talked about this on Hobby Hotline on Tuesday night, the overtime show, where somebody in the chat asked about do set builders still exist, and they do. And when I'm setting up at card shows and I have my bargain boxes, and I had somebody when I was set up at the Rockford show last week, um, ask me, do you have any 1981 tops? And I'm like, I'm sure I do, but it would be a waste of your time to dig through because it would take a lot of your time, and I don't even know if anything's in there. Um, he's like, I'm down to 4 cards, and my first thought was, just buy them on eBay, man. Just go to Sport Lots. But it's not just completing the set, and like that's how I like. A lot of times I think like I'm just gonna like I just have that like I need that instant gratification where it's like I'm down to 4 cards, I'm just gonna buy them on eBay and then move on to the next thing. But I get it from like this standpoint, like buying these packs, I find more fun, like it's more enjoyable to go to a toy store, go to a card shop, go to a card show, and find like a unique pack. And it's something for me that like I'm not really in like a Cubs card. Like if I see a Cubs card in a card shop or a card show, it's like, oh yeah, I've got 20 of those, or I don't want that. But I'm not like I'm deep in the game on Cubs cards. Like this stuff, it's just kind of just for like fun, for nostalgia break. And finding them in the wild, that's where the fun is. Now, I'll have a lot of fun opening these on video, but a lot of the fun is finding them. And like one of the packs I bought last night was something called Baby, and I think it was a movie from like the mid 80s. I'd never heard of it, and it's like it's $250. I don't know what it is. So I guess there's not really nostalgia when it comes to that. But there is when it comes to like New Kids on the Block and Home Alone 2, and especially Home Alone 2 because I never opened those. So I've watched the movie several times, but I never opened the cards, so I don't even really know what the cards look like. But when it comes to New Kids on the Block, I opened some of those when I was a kid, like 8, 9 years old when those came out. So that's where the nostalgia is for that. Like I remember opening those. Batman, Dick Tracy, those cards I remember opening. So that's where the nostalgia comes in. And like I wanted to start on January 1st, but then it's like I might run out of packs to open by the 15th. And now what? So I think I might wait. And I might not do one a day because that's, that can be time consuming. So maybe I'm definitely going to do at least 3 a week, maybe every other day. I don't know. I haven't planned that out. I've been talking about it for 2 months. I just need to sit down, focus for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. This is the plan of attack. Here's what I'm going to do. So that's one thing I'm going to be on the lookout for today. Of course, bargain boxes, Cubs. It's a smaller show. It's the show I'm going to today is in Woodstock, Illinois, which is far northwest of Chicago. And I think I can call it like a far suburb because it's on the metro line. Like I think it's stop number 2. Harvard, Illinois is the first stop. That's where I get on if I go downtown. Don't want to deal with parking and stuff and just driving downtown Chicago. I'll take the Metro in from Harvard, and then Woodstock's the next stop. And then Club 400's like in the town over from Woodstock. So it all works out. So I'm going to get back to the chat real quick. And then I think, and then I'll just talk about the barcade real quick. My recent content has been about trying out grading and slabbing companies in Korea. Interesting. How many are there? How many companies in Korea are there? Sent 10 cards to be slabbed but not graded to one company and got another 5 that I'm sending to a different to actually get graded. It's kind of fun. I like it. George remembers Baby. Yeah, I was it a dinosaur show? Because I think there's like a picture of a baby dinosaur on the front of the pack. I might have to Google it here after I get off. So then after we shopped at the toy store, next door is a barcade. It's called the IO Arcade Bar. It caught my eye as we walked from the parking lot to the toy store, because right on the window, the first 2 arcade games you see, Street Fighter and NBA Jam. It was a dinosaur movie, okay. And I'm like, "Oh, man." And so my buddy's like, "We can stop in there for a beer." I'm like, "Sold, hell yeah." So we go in and get a beer. It was like 5:30, so we ordered a pizza, and it's like frozen pizza, but it's from Sal's, which is great pizza. It's a great frozen pizza. I mean, it's okay pizza, but it's great for a frozen pizza. So had that. Um, Played some pinball, played NBA Jam, played Street Fighter. A lot of the games were like like this nostalgia, like it was like 80s and 90s arcade game. There wasn't like a lot of barcades have a mix where you'll get NBA Jam and Street Fighter and Galaga and some of those Pac-Man, but then they'll mix in like the golf. What's the golf game? Golden Tee and some of those newer games. But this had mostly like it was like out of the 80s or early 90s. So we didn't stay too long. Had a beer, had some pizza, played a few games, and then went about our way. Any early Super Bowl predictions? Man, I don't know. I watched the NFL this year, but I'd have to look at the playoff bracket. Um, I don't know, but I am excited for the play. Like normally, I don't like really get interested in the NFL playoffs, but I am this year. I don't know why, but I am. There are two companies here that slab cards. I'm trying both of them for different purposes. I don't care for the one's grading scheme, but I'm cool with their encasing without grade service, and the other one only does grading. Very nice, very cool. So that's what I had for today. Nostalgia breaks coming soon. I'm going to aim for the end of the month. We'll see what type of non-sports wax I can acquire here in the next couple weeks. I'll go live with it on like February 1st, regardless. And if I need to, I'll just go on eBay. And that's what kind of circling back to what I was talking about, like the chase and finding them in the wild is more fun than just going on eBay. And I thought about that this morning. It's like, well, if I want to just have like a stash, I have eBay gift cards that I can use. I'll just go on, and I still might do that. I might, but I do need to pick up one nice vintage Cubs card pre-war, and then I'll go on and look for some pack because I need to do a Howard the Duck. I need to find a Howard the Duck pack. But I also don't want to spend. It's simply for like entertainment purposes only, and content. So I don't want to spend like $50 on a pack or 20, maybe depending on what kind of pack it is, I'd go 20, but basically 10 and under. There was a pack, he had something there that was $8, and I'm like, it's a little steep. I don't want to spend $8 on a pack of cards for a YouTube video. Until I hit like a ton of subscribers and I make money on YouTube, then I'll splurge and buy an $8 pack of cards. Gosh, what was the $8 pack? Like I wanted it, but it's like I don't want to spend $8. It was The Gong Show. The Gong Show. And I never watched The Gong Show. But it was always kind of like a joke, like growing up. The Gong Show. So yeah, I'll aim for February 1st. I might just later today. I might, if I'm sitting at a stoplight or, have some downtime. I might look on eBay for some wax. Woodstock, Illinois, where Groundhog Day was filmed. I know this because my godparents live there. Yes. Now that you say that, I do recall. I'll have to look up the St. John's Lutheran Church is where the card show is held. Maybe I'll look up film locations and I can tweet out the film locations. Woodstock, Illinois. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. Great chat. 7:30. So my aim is to, I don't even know what time the show starts, but I'm going to leave here about 9. So I'm going to try to get some shipping done and then head out. So no show tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday morning, and I'll try my damnedest to get on at 7 a.m. on time, not 7:05, not 8:30 like yesterday. Try to do 7 a.m. on Monday morning. Do a recap of the weekend. Talk about the card show. Talk about Club 400, and hopefully maybe I'll find some nostalgia packs and and add to my non-sports wax collection. So thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the like button. Appreciate it. My goal for the year is 1,000 YouTube subscribers, and I think I'm at like 523. Scott, my buddy Scott, what is up, Scott? Scott's my best friend from like since I think we went to preschool together, and he's where I crash for my Club 400 parties, and he's got a great YouTube channel. Check his YouTube channel out. Get you learned up on all kinds of finance stuff. Scott, awesome to have you. I'm just wrapping up. Hopefully I'll see you late tonight or early tomorrow morning. So have a great Saturday, and we'll catch you live Monday morning.